All right. Welcome, everyone. It is finally here, the FMWC Open from thousands of contestants just a few weeks ago. We're now down to the final 8. This is exciting. Just 3 cases between now and the championship. Let me introduce my co-host, Tim Hang. Tim has over 15 years experience in developing and reviewing financial models across a range of industries and sectors. Throughout Australia and internationally. He is the director at Sum Product, that's SUM Product, and has been a Microsoft MVP in Excel since 2017.
Thanks, Bill. Great to be here. Great to host with yourself and Andrew. For those who aren't aware, Andrew Grigalinovich is the chairman and founder of the Financial Modeling World Cup, so we're very glad to see him here today. He's the chairman of AG Capital, one of the main sponsors of this event. He is also the author of the cases that you're going to see today, so it's exciting to have him here and to get his commentary on things.
Yeah, and finally, I'd like to introduce the third host, the most experienced one of all of us, Bill Jelen, the Mr. Excel himself, the person who's a Microsoft MVP of, I don't know, Bill, how many years was that? Like 25 years or?
I think it's 15. I don't know. I stopped counting at 15.
Okay. So that's just, just like girls stop counting at 18, but you stop counting at 15.
Right. Rookie.
Good.
All right. Well, we are excited for today. We have eight contestants and some really interesting Excel problems for them to try and solve today. So we're going to get started off with the first case. The first case is 40 minutes today, and then the next 2 cases are 30 and 30. And we'll have all 8 players live streamed. In the earlier rounds, some players were playing kind of in the dark. We couldn't see them until the final score, but this time we'll have a view of everybody. So that should be interesting as we try and bounce between each one to figure out how things are going.
Yeah, so let us also give a round of applause and say thank you to our today's sponsors. So the prize fund of today's event, basically of the whole event that took place for last week was brought in by Microsoft, and all the other organizational support and everything was brought in by AG Capital, our own financial consulting company that's connected to the organizing team of the Financial Modeling World Cup.
That's right, Andrew. And let's see how it works. So the top 16, some of the people who didn't even make it today received $125 for making it that far. That's impressive. Everyone in the top 8 will share $500. The semifinals will be $1,000. The runner-up gets $2,000, and then the grand prize winner today, a $3,000 prize for being the person to survive all of these grueling Excel problems that, Andrew, in many cases, you're the person that dreamt them up. I always look at these and I say, I'm so glad that I'm a host and not a contestant because they usually make my head explode, especially the deeper levels if you're trying to get the 1,000 points.
Yeah, I mean, let's see if the players are able to get up to the 1,000 points sometime today. We really try to rebalance some of the things based on the feedback from the first sessions. In session number 1 last Saturday, people were probably busted by the Excelopolis case. That was probably one of the toughest and the hardest.
That's right. We had the best modeler in the world score 8 points and narrowly advanced because his opponent only scored 6 points.
And both were using the rent between function. I kind of suppose.
But then in the last round, we had 3 different players get the full 1,000 points in the 30 minutes, which is impressive. Usually, I find that I'm somewhere in the 200 to 300 range, somewhere in there by the time the 30 minutes is up. These people are very, very good at what they do.
Yeah, but it's important to beat your opponent. It's not about beating the beating the result or being let's say closer or less close to 1,000 points. You just need to score more than your opponent. So if your opponent scores 6 points, it's okay for you to beat him with 7 points and still get through. And you still get the prize money of like if you win the whole tournament, it's 3K for the winner. And like all this money comes in addition to our regular prize fund for the whole season. As some of the viewers might know, that FMWC, that's a monthly online competition that's focused on financial modeling, like more specific, more complex things based on interest calculation, depreciation, all these finance related stuff. And here we're just going pure Excel, 1 week, amazing format, playoff battles, everybody could get through. So a little bit of luck could be there as well for some of the players. So yeah, let's go on and see the seeding for today, the initial seeding. So.
Okay, all right. So we have 4 brackets. It's Joseph and Joseph playing against each other in the first quarterfinal, and all of these will be working on the exact same case. Michael Jarman and Harry Gross, Anoop, who is our highest ranked seed today, 3rd ranked seed. We've number 1 and 2 have already been knocked out against Tim Roberts, and then Samir and my screen is cut off. I can't see the last.
I was going to say Andrew is actually the top ranked seed, and he should be at the bottom of the bracket in the quarterfinals. Okay. So Andrew is the 2nd seed, I believe. I think a lot of people in the chat on YouTube are really disappointed that they're not their man Diarmid Illy is not around. Everyone seems to be really excited for Diarmid to be around, but Joseph knocked him out in the round on Wednesday. So Joseph's going to be a bit of a dark horse today, I reckon.
Right, possible Cinderella story.
Yeah, have a look at the top spot here. That was kind of reserved for the top number 1 seed right now. Yeah, the King Cobra, Joseph Michael Palasok, as he's called by his nickname, is getting there. And he really did a great job. That was a very, very close match on Wednesday. So I really, really recommend to review this the recording there. That was amazing.
Now, for those of you watching at home, once we get started, you can download the case from the FMWC World Cup website, and if you want, work along. There was someone the other day who in the chat said that they thought they scored 1,000 points. I said, well, you need to be here next year then. And those cases are free during the live stream. After that, they're available for purchase, just a nominal amount or a bundle of all the cases from the whole
the bundle will be available. Yeah, actually, Bill, the bundle will be available after the final.
Hello, my name is Jason Moore. I live in Temecula, California, and I head the data analytics team at Waterfront Capital Partners, a New York City-based hedge fund.
Hey, I'm Michael Jarman, Opera's head of model development, which means I probably spend more time nowadays thinking about building models than actually building models. So I'm probably a little bit out of practice.
I'm Harry Gross. I'm from the United Kingdom and I work at Operist.
Hi, I'm Anup Agarwal. I live in Bangalore, India, and I'm a freelance financial modeler.
Hi everyone, my name is Andrew Ngai. I'm from Sydney in Australia, and I work at Taylor Fry, which is a medium-sized actuarial and data analytics consultancy.
Hi, my name is Tim Roberts from the UK. I work for Gravis Capital Management, where I've recently joined as an associate.
Hey everyone, I'm Samir Chagatia. I'm based in New York City. I'm an entrepreneur and an investor.
Hi, I'm Joseph Palisok, originally from the Philippines, now working in the US at EY's Strategy and Transactions practice.
What I love about Excel is how versatile it is. There might be 10 different ways to do something complicated, and there wouldn't necessarily be a correct option. So you can always stay creative and keep learning.
I don't think it's a stretch to say that Excel has earned me the majority of my income over the last 17 years. From Excel-based algorithms that are 2.3 gigabytes that pick stocks, to web scrapers, hundreds of web scraping robots, to a robot that currently gets us dinner reservations at top New York City restaurants each night. It's my passion. I enjoy working in Excel every single day.
My Excel days go back to the early 1990s when I wanted a way to track my fantasy football team. This was back in the days pre-internet and when we still had to look in the newspaper to get that data. We've come a long way since then.
In terms of Excel in my life outside work, perhaps the best way to describe it is that where most people would use a combination of Word, Excel, or various apps on their phone and so on, I mainly use Excel only. So that means from writing diary or journal entries to planning holidays, budgeting and expenses, everything is in Excel.
I have been in love with Excel ever since 2007 when the new age Microsoft Office came out. The ribbon made everything so accessible, so explorable. And I was in college then, and I suddenly had this feeling that, this is what I really love. And people used to say, that's not a real job. That's something you can do on your side, but you probably need to be like an accountant, a consultant, investment banker. Then I moved on to spreadsheet consulting freelance in 2013. And ever since then, I only make spreadsheets. That's all I do. I do not have industry expertise. I do not have geographical knowledge. I just know how to make 1 + 1 = 2 on a spreadsheet.
Fun fact, I got my current job partially because of Financial Modeling World Cup. My favorite Excel function is the if function, and I'm probably one of the very few participants that still don't have Office 365.
I've been working in Excel for about 6.5 years, having spent the first 6 years of my career at Operas, where I know a couple of my colleagues are also part of this competition. So wishing them the best of luck, and hopefully we get a chance to play against each other. An interesting fact about me is that most of my family secretly think I'm a spy because they have absolutely no idea what I do for a living.
I've worked in Excel for just over 7 years now, doing so many cool things, both in Excel and also with FMWC. You might recognise me from commentating the last one, which was a lot less stressful than actually doing it. My crowning achievement in Excel was probably winning Model Off, which was the old competition in 2018. So I'm hoping that once again I can say that it's coming home.
All right, that was a great introduction. Great to meet everybody. Good to see everyone live today. How's everyone feeling? Ready for a big day? All right, thumbs up. That's good. All right. Andrew, should we take a look at the first case they'll be solving?
Yeah, I mean, let's just go ahead and go for the brief introduction of the first case, and let's see if the players have any questions there.
All right.
A ride-sharing company has just entered the market of a fictional city, Fun City. They need FMWC Open participants to help in developing a ride planning and traffic forecasting application. The participants are provided with the map of Fun City. The map is populated with vehicles and buildings. In Fun City, the cars drive on the right side. The participants are asked various questions about the vehicle and building types, the distance between two objects, and the time it takes to get from one point to another. To calculate the distance between 2 points, participants need to use imaginary units of fun blocks. One fun block is equal to one Excel cell on the map. For example, the distance from cell B5 to cell B3 is 3 fun blocks. Crossroads consist of 4 blocks. Please note how the left turns and U-turns are being made. Driving is allowed only on the roads, and driving backward is forbidden in Fun City. A building can be approached from the nearest cell of the road horizontally or vertically. The time needed to travel between 2 points is calculated in minutes. Each fun block is equal to 1 minute. However, if any of the cells on your route contains other vehicles, they will need to spend extra minutes. For every car on the route, they have to add 1 minute, for every truck, 2 minutes, and for every cyclist, 4 minutes. Often, the shortest route is not the fastest.
An Excel case with absolutely no numbers in the incoming data set. So that this will be very, very interesting. I can see why you decided 40 minutes for this case instead of the usual 30. Right. Looking at the look on their faces.
I hope everyone liked the Excelopolis round earlier on this tournament.
I was tempted to call this player, the previous one was named like Grow or Feeding Excelopolis. I was thinking initially of calling this case like Driving Excelopolis, but then we just rename that to Fun City. So let this case be more fun rather than Excelopolis.
Any questions from anyone other than why did I enter? Okay. All right. Are we ready to roll? Let's do a countdown, and we'll start the 40-minute timer. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go.
All right. Good luck. Have fun, everybody. Fun in Fun City.
Yeah.
I think I saw a message in the chat saying, let's make fun blocks a new unit of currency or a new unit of measurement in the world. That'll be a lot of fun.
Well, let's pick someone to switch over and see how they start to attack this. Although I think they'll be studying the map a little bit first. You want to just start with Joseph in the top left?
Yeah, that's a good idea to study the map at first, and I think it's going to be interesting for the viewers as well to see how the city is constructed there.
All right, so this first level 1 is actually very easy. We should see those points very quickly. It's a count if or a sum if just to count how many
There you go.
of each item. So, wow, there we are. Joseph and Jason. Oh, this is the fastest in less than 60 seconds. Both players are on the board with 50 points. That is an amazing start right there. Now we start to get to level 2. And Andrew, can you explain what happens in level 2?
Well, actually, level 2, I would say it's a transitory level to the next more complex cases, more complex questions. I actually given a hint there to try to do that manually because that would allow the players to kind of have a look at the, let's say, at the setup of the city, to get introduced to that, to see how the dynamics work there. So yeah, and basically if they do that, then they will be able to move on to levels 3 to 6 and score some points there. So what's needed there on level 2 is to understand what's the where is the closest passenger located to a car sharing to a ride-sharing car. So these cars are highlighted in yellow. The players are giving specific addresses where to start, and they need to find the most, the closest passenger that's voting, that's kind of looking for a ride. That these passengers are denoted with a raised hand, so to say. Yeah, and you have to remember that you cannot go backwards in Fun City. You have to drive on the right. So I don't think it's a problem in this particular match. But if it's a somebody from a left driving country, so versus the
Yes, right. And then there's also, if there's a lot of traffic that slows you down, is that a factor in this level, or is that in later levels? So we have to start worrying about the cyclists and the trucks that cause you to slow down.
Well, like not on this level. Like it's only about the distance. So, but basically, it's level 2 is about the distance. Levels 3 and 5 are all about the distance, and levels 4 and 6 are taking into account the time. So basically, have a look at this crowded street in the middle of the screen. You see a lot of cyclists there. I don't know, maybe there is some cyclist gathering, or maybe a ride, or Tour de France, or Tour de Fun City happening there. But if you go by that street, you're going to lose a lot of time. So you'd rather go around that.
All right, let's go. I saw on the leaderboard that someone else had already started to get some points in level 2.
It seems that most of them should be getting there.
All right, let's go take a look at someone else.
Let's try some other match.
Let's check out Andrew. So I think Andrew's got 85 points on the board at the moment by the looks of it.
Wow.
It's interesting that they seem to be taking, a lot of people are taking the approach of trying to do the second round manually, and just sort of, mousing their way through the city to work their way around.
That kind of gives you a chance to build up the skills or the strategy that you might use in the later rounds when you're trying to write formulas or something. To figure this out.
If you try to model that, like a one solution that suits all these cases, then you'll be able to solve all the cases within a minute, but you'll spend 2 hours modeling the right approach there. So it's definitely not worth the points.
And the U-turns are tricky, as they showed. That you have to go. You can only do a U-turn at an intersection, and it becomes a 4-block U-turn. You have to touch all 4 blocks at the intersection to make that U-turn.
Right.
So it might be a case where a U-turn would actually slow you down compared to someone who just had to make a right turn from further away or something like that, potentially, right?
Yeah, that could be the case. that could definitely be the case.
All right, so here in level 2, a lot of manual work.
Yep. It looks like Andrew's nearly finished with his level 2 answers. He's only got a couple more to do. Though, looking at his score, it looks like he's actually got one of them wrong. So he's got 113 points, but he's answered all 10 of them, I believe. So he should be getting a score of 120 here.
Right. Oh, that like a missed field goal in American football, that can cost you later. At 6 points if he doesn't realize what it is. And will he go back and check to figure out which one it is, or just move on to try and get more points in level 3? That'll be
Well, I think this is the challenging thing, right? If he hasn't been paying attention to his score when he's been updating each thing, he doesn't know which one of these 10 is wrong. And so he's basically got to check each and every single one again.
For just 6 points, I'm not sure it's worth it. Let's move on and try and get to the higher points later on.
Yeah, I would suggest that it's really not a good strategy to keep searching for these 6 points, because they just need to get to the point where they understand how the distances work there. And it seems that he's actually started to plan for the numbers, for the distances here. Have a look, he's writing some formulas and trying to fill the city with most probably these are self-referencing formulas. And Bill, maybe you can talk a little bit more about circular references. We typically try to avoid them, but this is actually one of the cases where you might be willing to have them.
Yeah, but in order to use circular references, you have to go into Excel options and say that I'm planning on using Excel circular references. So you turn on iterative calculation and how many iterations you're going to allow, right? So normally Excel can't refer to itself, or can't have a cell can't refer to itself in the dependencies, but there are certain models where you will turn that on purpose. So that could be used here.
So it looks like all of these are hard coded though at the moment. It's like he's just pasting one values in, so he's probably just laying out the foundation of the map. And that way, later on, he can probably use some of the go-to tools and so forth to select all the populated cells in order to sort of quickly select the cells he's looking for. So he's just populating the map essentially right now. What's probably worth noting is that Andrew, of all the participants, Andrew's probably the one with the biggest handicap, because even though he's second seed, he's based in Sydney in Australia, and it's currently coming up to 4:30 in the morning over there for him. So he's either not had very much sleep, or he's stayed up for this tournament. So kudos to him if he's able to get anything on Excel in the first place.
That's quite the handicap, right? Being in the middle of your night. All right. How about a leaderboard? Do we have a leaderboard? Can we see how everyone's doing?
So it looks like Michael Jarman's also got to roughly the same point that Andrew's up to, which is good. Why don't we head over to Michael's screen then and see how he's starting to approach level 3 as well. Okay. He's having to think.
Yeah, thoughtful expression.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned before that this round is 40 minutes rather than 30 minutes, which most of the questions in the FMWC Open have been, and I think that's pretty fair. I mean, this question is probably the most challenging in terms of concepts, I think, compared to all the other rounds that we've been through. Bill, I don't know if you've read or watched all the streams from both the American stream and the Asia Pacific streams, but personally, I think this is probably the most complicated or the most involved question that Andrew's put together for the competition.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the most complicated that I've seen. Definitely. Like even with Excelopolis, I was able to get through the first 3 levels with that, but with this, I'm not sure that I'd be able to get anywhere, to be honest.
Actually, the logic here is that we're trying to, as soon as they think of the way to solve that, it's basically down to writing a universal formula that would allow the players to kind of understand where's the starting point of their drive. So on level 3, they will have to start at one particular cell and calculate what's the driving distance, again, in fun blocks, in cells, towards a variety of different points over there. So which basically means that these players will have to write the formulas trying to calculate the smallest distance there. And basically that would take them from there. That's why we also gave them an extra 10 minutes to maybe do some more copying and pasting, trying to look there for some interesting, let's say, routes. And therefore, yeah, let's see how that's how it goes.
You know, and the other thing, like if you're just trying to figure out the shortest distance between two cells, that would be one thing, but we have these buildings in the way. So, you know, if you're in the middle of a block and you need to go 5 blocks over, also to the middle of the block, you know, a lot of formulas might just say, well, let's just cut through all the buildings, but you can't do that. You have to come up with, you know, the idea that you have to stay on the right side of the road. U-turns, you have to make that 4 cell hop to do that. And even left turns require 3 cells to get through the intersection. So a lot of extra work there. And Andrew, when you design this, you use circular references yourself in the solution?
Yes. Yeah, that was probably the only way to solve that in an efficient way, to go through all the cases and not spend too much time. And actually, like when I was, you know, triple testing that case, the last time it took me like maybe 15 or 20 minutes to do it, to run it through, because, you know, I was exactly knowing what I'm doing and what needs to be done there. So it's doable. But again, at first time, you have to think of the ways, you know, how to solve that.
Right. Yeah. That getting familiar with the case takes some time. And, you know, as I mentioned I made a YouTube video where I solved Excelopolis. I said, well, this isn't fair because I saw the case one day and I started to solve it the next day. That gave me a whole day to think about it, sleep on it. And, you know, our contestants today do not have that. They just received the cases today, you know, minutes before the countdown clock started. Tim,
to be honest, we've had this case for 48 hours, and I don't think I've got a good solution to solve this either. So, you know, I don't envy them trying to do it in 40 minutes.
So Andrew Nye has 121 now. Is that the lead?
So it looks like he solved one of the first items in round 3 would be my guess, because that's worth, each of the round 3 items are worth 8 points.
Hey, let's take a look at it and see how he's doing. I know he has a large fan base out on YouTube, and let's see how he's progressing.
Yeah, and for those of you who are watching and want to participate, just a reminder: you can download all the cases that you're going to see today during the live stream at fmworldcup.com. You can go find the today's cases, at least anyway, and pick them up for free, but only during the live stream itself. So make sure you do that in the next hour and a half, couple of hours or so.
Okay, so he is building on a second spreadsheet the entire map with numbers instead of the symbols, right? Which I think makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's an interesting approach, actually.
I wonder if he's trying to solve just the first case, and then we'll use a data table to then solve all of the cases.
It
which
could
is
be
a
a good
strategy
approach
that I've seen used a lot. Probably saw more data tables in the last 2 weeks than I've seen in the last couple of years.
Yeah, in the hints, actually, in the hints next to level 3, my suggestion to the players is actually that, you know, you can go and build a universal solution that's going to solve you all the 6 levels in one approach, or like straightforward. But it could be also the factor that kills your, you know, participation here, and you lose because you don't have enough time to complete that.
So I was going to say that'd be a classic Diarmid move to solve level 6 and either go all or nothing, right?
That's right.
Right.
That's
right.
right. Yeah.
I mean,
that's right.
Here's how the levels are built. On level 3, you need to, like, you have a specific cell that you start with, and you have to calculate the distance to other cells. On level 4, you have to add time of your trip to the same, to the same starting cell. And on level 5, it's again the distance, but you have to, you know, be able to change your model so that you could start at different cells. And on level 6, it's again different cells, and it's also the time factor that needs to be calculated there. So a universal solution, feasible enough. So you just need to be able to kind of switch between time and distance. And if you're able to do that, it's a perfect 1,000-point score. And you can still spend some minutes to, you know, look for the errors on level 2.
Okay,
Actually, that's a really interesting point, though. Not everyone's got the full score for level 2. So I don't know if people have made mistakes on level 2, or whether they have simply just sort of done enough of level 2 to understand what they need to do, and then kind of moved on to level 3, where the kind of the big points are. I don't know, Bill. How would you kind of approach that? Would you waste time doing the manual stuff, or would you just sort of jump to trying to find that universal solution that Andrew's talking about?
Well, in my opinion, the manual stuff would be important points, because those are points that might make the difference, right? If you had someone that took the time to do all the manual stuff and you didn't, and then couldn't solve level 3, then you're moving on. And we should take a look at Tim Roberts, who is an ups competition, see how he's doing, what approach he's using, because it's not whether Anoop is the top scorer overall. He just needs to be the top scorer between him and Tim.
And amazingly, I see that Tim has submitted his answers. Yeah, he has some points on the scoreboard, but seems that these points are coming for level 2, not level 1. Able to log into the answer tab, and it seems that most of these answers are actually for level 2.
This is interesting. I wonder if he was actually solving level 1 and put the answers in the wrong spot. Is that what you think? That happened there?
It seems that he's probably mislinked the formula, and some of the answers are getting to the wrong place. I mean, what I see in the answer is that he's receiving less, level 1 asks the players to calculate the number of units of each type, and it seems that Tim is currently underscoring on all of them. So basically, it probably means that he has reverted to the wrong region of the target file.
Yeah, and I wonder if he didn't notice the score didn't go up after he pasted those in. I wonder if he even realizes what he's done. That would be terrible.
Anyway, I think,
right.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'd be starting to build a solution for level 3 to level 6, maybe even getting there to bring a universal solution. If you've done that, you're guaranteed to be very up the rankings, and then you have some time, hopefully, to check for these other answers there. By the way, have a look at Tim's APM. His actions per minute are at the highest APM is at 287. That's quite a lot for Excel users. Again, compared to the gamers, they have to use both keyboard and mouse, but the whole range of the keyboard. So it's not that easy. They have to work with both hands on the keyboard, and one of the hands has to go to the mouse if needed.
All right, let's see. Can we see the leaderboard? There we are. Great. Okay, so
have a look at Andrew and Guy. He's progressed through level 3. Some points.
Oh, yeah.
Is he doing it manually?
Some good points on level 3.
At the end of level 3, you'd be 280 points. Let's switch over to Andrew.
Alrighty. I love the conditional formatting that is used here in order to try and sort of mark out his first and second points. Actually, no. I think he's manually doing this almost.
Yeah, it seems so.
So he's sort of plotting the route himself, going around the city. It looks like he's got conditional formatting to sort of highlight the endpoint that he's trying to go to.
Right. Yeah.
And he's just manually kind of walking his way through the city to get there.
Wow, it's not a bad idea. It's really not a bad idea.
No, yeah, right. Look, he's way ahead of Samir. Wow.
So the problem he's going to find here, though, is that because he's from Australia, he drives on the left-hand side of the road. So in this case, for example, he's actually picked not the most optimal route to get there, which means he's got the incorrect number of minutes. So it's not necessarily that easy.
Yeah, that's exactly what I see here, and he's not going to score the full points there.
What a strategy! What a strategy! All right, but then that won't help him at all in the later rounds. But he still has 20 minutes left to go. He could do a lot of walking through Fun City here to try and figure it out.
Well, with this approach, he's going to score a lot for levels 3 and 4. He might get there for let's see. He has 20 minutes left. With this with the pace he's having currently, he's probably going to get there to the end of level 4, I would say, with some 7 to 8 minutes left until the end. Maybe even faster, maybe. He'll have to slightly adjust his formulas a little bit. However, he might get into trouble on level 4 as well, because sometimes the fastest route is not the closest. Like, for example, you want to avoid the streets with the cyclists, right?
Right, where all that traffic is, because that adds, and a cyclist actually slows you down the most, right? Adds 5 minutes. A car adds 1 minute, truck adds 2 minutes, a cycle adds 5 minutes.
4 minutes, actually. Yeah.
4 minutes, yeah.
Again,
so I think I know what Andrew's... Sorry, Andrew. I think I know what Andrew and I's problem is at the moment. So all of the ones on the left-hand side of the screen he has been getting and scoring points for, and the things on the right-hand side he hasn't been getting for. And that's because what he's been doing, he's through his manual path, he's going down and around the block rather than doing a U-turn at the bottom intersection. And so that's actually costing every sort of location on the right-hand side of the screen an extra like 3 or 4 minutes, which is why he's not scoring any points on the right-hand side.
Wow. What a spot, Tim. I mean, you're spot on. That's a very interesting thing. Well, it seems that riding on the side of the road that's not convenient to you, maybe putting you at some sort of a extra challenge over here. But again, it would be probably a worse idea to trying to put the the same case but with different driving let's say rules for the players coming from different countries.
I've got a feel for him though. If you're driving on the wrong side of the road trying to solve this at 4 a.m. in the morning, I reckon in his case the manual approach might be the way to go.
And he's currently in the lead, right? Using this approach we certainly didn't expect is currently in the lead. Now it'll be interesting to see if that holds up, right? If someone comes up with a formula solution that they can then solve faster. All right, so
why don't we take a look at Jason? Because
Okay.
Jason's got a fairly high score as well. He's been progressing through round 3.
All right.
It looks like Jason is doing a very similar manual sort of approach where he's counting cells from A to B and so on.
Okay, so the manual approach will probably put these players in the lead during the battle, but towards the end of the battle, towards the end of the game, I suppose that the players who are using the let's say circular reference approach, who are trying to get this done with the formula help, they might get a huge lead in points. So if I don't know what Joseph currently is doing, but he's probably might be writing the universal formula. If that's the case, he's going to be scoring a lot and he's going to win big. Because with the manual thing, with the manual approach, you're going to be getting past level 3, and that's where you stop. And you're going to spend quite a lot of time by doing all these things manually. So level 2 was supposed to be done manually, just to get you in shape to see how the driving works there in the fun city. But level 3 and further levels, probably that's a better idea to drive to go for a universal solution with the formula help.
Okay. Well, why don't we go check out Joseph's screen quickly? Because I know Joseph's been stuck on basically the same number of points for a long while. So let's see how he's progressing on this grand solution.
This looks like a universal solution here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So if he's successful, then would that help him solve 2 levels at once, level 3 and level 5? Is that the idea?
It could be the case, yeah. I mean, if he is successful at this universal solution, he's probably going to make it just a very slight tweak in the formula, and he's going to be there. I see that he's trying to replicate all these blocks that correspond to the city. So one of the kind of trying to build some helper cells or helper columns or helper cities, if you'd like, here. And he's really trying to build a very interesting model there that will be probably kind of self-referencing.
So the other person I wanted to follow up on was Anna, because I know Anna started trying to produce a similar kind of universal solution as well.
Yeah, let's see what Anna does currently. He's sitting with 79 points. And he's thinking. However, his highest APM was still 277. Wow, that's a lot. He's a machine. I mean, all these guys are machines. But again, remember our previous battles. The highest APMs do not necessarily mean a win. In the Battle of 16 that took place in back in September, the winners were the four finalists were having their highest APM was outside of the top 3.
All right. So I don't think we've taken a look at Harry or Samir yet, have we? So we should probably check out one of them.
Let's start with Harry. Currently in near the end with
near the
VBA
Open.
Oh, sweet. Of course, VBA is allowed. Power Query is allowed. It'll take you more time to build the code, but then potentially could solve it all very, very quickly. The question is whether you can get that code done. He has 13 minutes, 55 seconds left. Get the code done, run it, test it, and then record the answers. That will be very interesting. Harry.
I think there's one of the problems with VBA is that you cannot undo the results. Like if you run a macro and it spoils something in your model, that could be a problem there. Do you agree, Bill?
That's why you should be perfect in your VBA or save just before you run. that avoids the problem. Yeah. VBA
Run VBA on your copies. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Clears the undo stack, right? Yeah.
Can you comment on what exactly he's trying to do from the code here?
Yeah, so he has a select case. So he's building the various directions. I saw he had the case east southeast or something like that, or case else. So that's case else down at the bottom. Yeah.
Okay. So for these cases, I think he's trying to put together how the crossing the crossroads works. I think that could be the approach there.
Okay.
Yeah,
look at the annoyance on his face right now. Dealing with these Unicode characters is another challenge. I want to have a character that I can type from the keyboard, and I don't have to copy it and paste it to get into things.
Yeah, but still, all these Unicode characters, they're so funny. They can make these cases very appealing to the public. They are watchable. I mean,
right? Yeah, and you can actually deal with them. You can do a VLOOKUP of a Unicode character into a table with a Unicode character, and it works just fine. It was just a mental block that I had the first time I saw it. I was like, I'm going to convert these back to letters. No, you don't need to do that. It works fine. Just using the Unicode. Once you get over the fact that there are things that you can't really type.
Okay, let's have a look at Michael Jarman, his opponent, Harry's opponent. So his 1 point past level 3, so he should be scoring 120 points for the first 2 levels. Essentially, this means that he scored some extra points in level 3, but he's probably not perfectly wrong, not perfectly right with all the cases on the previous 2 levels.
It's strange. A few people had
I think it was the same problem.
Had 113 points, which shouldn't be possible. There's no multiplier. None of those points are worth an odd number.
I think it's 9 questions correct on level 2, and then 1 on level 3, and that's where they're getting 121 points.
I get you. Okay, so 9 times 7, 63. Yep. All right.
Yep.
Okay.
I also think he is trying to solve something. Solve it in a sort of grand solution. You can see he's actually trying to put formulae into the road itself to get it to work, which is quite different from what I think other people have done, setting up sort of helper tables and helper cities on the right-hand side. So, I mean, this is a very sort of interesting and different way of solving it as well. This is probably, Andrew, I think, closest to your circular reference approach, if I'm not mistaken, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly that's very similar to what I was building when I was testing the model, and that was my kind of proposed way to solve that. That's a universal approach. But again, the first time when I was doing that, I've spent quite a lot of time to build that. And additionally, as soon as you get to the point where you're copying things, let's say in column A or in row 1, don't have the formulas that are, referencing outside of the grid. Because what's going to happen, you're going to get a ref error. And if you're not having things like FNA, as Michael has in his formula up there, have a look at his formula. You just get an error that flows through all your previous formulas, and that's going to be a big problem because you will not be able to get rid of that. So
we haven't checked in on Samir yet. We should definitely take a look and see what Samir is working on.
Yeah, he has a very strong opponent. It's Andrew Guy. Andrew's at 300 points, 301, 313.
313,
yeah. Samir is doing the things, I think it's manually as well.
So it looks like Andrew then's actually sort of manually gone on to solve some of the level 5 questions, I think. So his solution, his sort of manual solution for level 3 seems to have done the trick. Level 5 also doesn't require any traffic, so he can just use the map of his city to kind of get from where he needs to go. So yeah, Samir better pull something out quickly if he's going to try and catch up to this.
And if Samir is using an approach of a manual approach, he's too far behind at this point.
He's not going to be able to get it with a manual thing. Yeah, I mean, he's 200 points behind. It's like, imagine what kind of speed should he have to beat 200 points within 8 minutes.
With 8 minutes to go, right? So we kind of predict Andrew might be able to hold on there. Let's take a look at the leaderboard, overall leaderboard, if we could.
I really was looking forward to see somebody building a universal solution here. That's why we're having 40 minutes here. That's why we're placing exactly this case for the quarterfinals. But it seems that the best one is Andrew Guy at 350 currently. Yeah.
How about Anoop? Let's take a look. He has 95 right now. He was working on...
So I think Anoop was previously on 70-something, if I remember correctly. So the fact he's on 95 would seem to suggest that he's now starting to try and fill things in manually. Perhaps he's realized that he's not going to make the make his universal solution work in time. So I don't know if we can see an up screen at the moment. That'd be good if we could transfer over that. But I reckon Anoop's probably trying to just catch up quickly. Yeah, you can see he's selected a bunch of cells. It looks like he might be just measuring out places in the city.
He's still not that far behind. I mean, if he believes that he's not going to make it with a universal solution, then okay, he can just jump in and do it manually. But it seems that this is a little bit too hard under stress. Again, I imagine Anup is perfectly capable of doing this with no time pressure, and he's going to be able to do that within like 20 minutes, maybe 25 or whatever, maybe 15 or even faster. But with the time pressure, with the pressure of the whole world watching how you're working, that could be a little bit distracting.
Oh, but he's going for level 5, which are worth 12 points each. That's brilliant. If you're going to do something manually, you might as well go after the largest points.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing something manually, see what he's doing. He's going for 12 points each, and it means that he's probably like, instead of getting 8 points for level 3, he's trying to go the same manual way for level 5, but he's going to be scoring like 50% more.
Yeah, so he only needs to complete 2 more to catch up to Tim's score at the moment. So it was a good time to pivot. Can we jump over to Tim and see, is Tim still trying to work on a grand solution, or is he sort of giving up and going manually as well? It looks like he's now starting to count cells in the grid too. The question is he doing this in order to try and validate his solution, or is he actually sort of reverting to this as the primary problem solver now? Yeah. I think one thing that the participants are doing reasonably well is being very cognizant of the fact that they can't spend too long working on a solution that's not working for them. And so, in Anoop's case, for example, he's sort of picked that point with 10 minutes to go where he said, look, I can't solve this. I can't get sort of all the points on the board. Let's try and basically just get ahead of my competitor, because that's what you need to do, right? You don't need to necessarily solve and get 1,000 points and everything. You just need to score more points than the person you're competing against.
That's right. Yeah. Who had been working on VBA? Was that Tim, or I should have?
That was Harry, I think.
I think it's Harry.
Check out how Harry's going.
Let's go see how his VBA macro is coming with 5 minutes to go.
Okay, he's 50 points behind. He has 5 minutes left. He still needs to do some testing and probably troubleshooting of his macro. And Michael is just a too strong opponent. And by the way, yeah, seems that they both represent Opris, a very strong probably the strongest company in the financial modeling consulting world, at least according to the team's ranking of the regular season of FMWC. These guys are sitting on top of the team's rankings since stage 1, and they're going to be sealing the victory, that's for sure. I mean, for the regular monthly stages of the Financial Modeling World Cup. So, have a look. Michael has just scored. He has more points on the board right now. Let's have a look at what Michael's doing.
Take a look. All right.
Okay. So it's interesting that he's only got a couple of the level 3 ones, but he's up on 161. So he's clearly jumped around a bit. So I'm guessing he's answered some of the level 5 questions, perhaps. Level 4 or level 5, realized that maybe it's going to take too long to get those out, so he's jumped back to level 3 to get them done. Not sure.
I mean, level 3 is
Looking
easier.
at the leaderboard.
Oh,
sorry, go on, Andrew.
I just want to say that level 3 is easier in a way that you can start building the same grid from one place, and like if you expand this grid, it's going to be helpful for you to solve many cases. And probably that's the reason why he gets a few of these answers, like not the first and the second points on level 3, but rather something in between, because these numbers he was answering. I think that was numbers like 27 and 30 something. These are just closer to the initial starting point, so that he doesn't have to build the whole grid of cell intersections there.
Take a look at Andrew Nye. Andrew's up to 473 points.
With 3 minutes to go, let's see what Andrew Nye is doing. And by the way, how
he's put answers one of the way through to the bottom.
Oh, really?
Okay.
No.
So I reckon he's answered most things or most everything, but what he hasn't realized is that he's made those fundamental errors about which direction that he's going. So where we saw in level 3 initially, that he was going the wrong way around through intersections for things on the right-hand side of the screen. My bet would be that he's kind of carried that error forward all the way through the rest of his answers too. And so, Andrew, I don't know if you can see from your end whether you can see which answers are correct or incorrect, but I reckon everything that's on the left-hand side of the screen is more likely to be correct when from that sort of lower bottom starting point compared to the answers on the right-hand side.
Yeah, it could be the case. I don't think I'm currently in the position to try to solve that, but at least what I like here is the fact that Andrews has built a universal solution. At least it looks like, or isn't it? No,
yeah, I mean, certainly style points for actually getting everything answered, even though it's not correct. With one fundamental error somewhere early along, causing the problem. The question is whether he can discover in a minute and a half what that error is and make corrections throughout.
And guys, have a look at his map. It's really replicating some waste type of things, or some traffic maps with most heavy traffic being in red and easy roads being highlighted in green. So I really like the style of his model here. That's for sure. So
yeah,
I know we have a lot of Anup fans. Let's go take a look at Anup, who's just a few points behind Tim right now.
So Anup is catching up with his manual approach. But it does look like Tim has reverted to a manual approach as well now. So the question is, who is going to be faster at teasing out all these locations?
And I think that at this point of time, it's the time for run between. I mean, they can still get a good feeling of what's the typical distance from one point to another could be. And they could just try to guess and get some of the points on the board. So Anup is 29 points behind Tim. It's just he needs 4 answers on level 3. He's probably not going to get that in in just 15 seconds
not,
left.
not with the round between either. I think the likelihood, like the numbers are 1 in 30, 1 in 40 basically. So you're probably not going to get it with a round between solution, unfortunately.
Unless you're very
Time
lucky.
is coming to a close.
All right, Tim is going to advance there.
And it's time.
Okay. Wow. So, oh my gosh, Jason Moore knocks off Joseph. Michael Jarman advances over Harry Gross. Tim Roberts beats Anoop. And then Andrew, who is our overall winner of this case, over Samir. Wow.
Yeah.
That's right. I think Samir's a bit unlucky to have faced up against Andrew. Samir's probably got like the third. He's got the third highest score in this list.
Yeah.
But just came up against too strong an opponent.
Well, then that's the basic for seeding the players. So Samir is currently ranked number 7 in the world, based on the Financial Modeling World Cup regular rankings. So that he was ranked number 7. Andrew Guy was number 2 at the time we were making the seeds. So basically, they were bound to be meeting in the quarterfinals at this point. So, and again, the fact that other strong players have been kicked out from the competition, that's just the factor of a little bit of luck there, and the thing of the format that we have. So a mix of luck and playoff thing.
All right, what a round! And after that, the people that advance are going to go on to something completely different. Let's see. Should we have a chat with our participants? Here we are. All right. How's everyone doing? That was the hardest case I think I've seen. I feel bad for the 4 of you that advanced, because now you have to try and do something else.
Yeah, guys. I mean, I really was looking for a universal solution, but probably not under time pressure. I imagine that back home, if you have, if you're not stressed, you're going to be able to solve this case within the 40 minutes thing. But
yeah, I'm sorry for the way I got my points. if you watched.
No, we did watch.
I picked my battles.
Look, at 4:30 in the morning, I think you're more than welcome to take that manual approach. And I think, to your credit, you were the first person to kind of take that manual approach early, and that probably is what saved you up against Samir. Where Samir started trying to do the universal solution, would that be fair to say? And then switched over? Samir, how did you feel? You might need to unmute yourself in Teams so that we can hear you.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to do universal solution. I was thinking about that for a little bit, and then just went to manual.
So we also saw that Anna was going for a universal solution for all the time, all up until the bell. Anna, what went wrong there?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I was prepared for a few things today, not for this. But yeah, I don't think I'll be able to sleep today.
Yeah.
before find something about it.
You have to know, Anna, you have a huge support of fans watching this currently on ESPN and on YouTube Live. So, Anna, you're a star of your country, your continent, of the world, actually. So, huge support for you. It's such a pity that this case turned out to be, difficult, and nobody was able to get the universal solution. That's unfortunate.
Would love to have a quick chat with Harry though, because I think, Harry, you were the only one who tried to take a VBA approach to the problem. I just wanted to get your thoughts on how you're trying to tackle that.
Well, the VBA approach, high reward strategy. If you don't finish it in time, you won't get any points. But if you do, I could have done, question 3 and 4 quite quickly afterwards. Didn't quite get there though. Well done to Michael. He's actually my line manager, so we making some jokes about this competition.
Good job you didn't beat him then, Harry.
Yeah.
So, Michael, is Harry fired after this?
No, I think I knew the second I saw the question, I knew Harry was going to try and build a macro, and I knew there was no point in competing and trying to build a better macro. So I just sort of hoped for the best and was sort of just felt like a bit like a rabbit in the headlights if he finished or not. Yeah, it's not probably my strongest round, but yeah, happy to be through.
Yeah, it's okay. The rounds are, you have better and worse rounds. In one of the previous rounds, you just smashed everyone with the maximum points. So I think you were the first out of the 3 players who scored the maximum. So
yeah, if we could have more questions I'm good at, that would be great.
Okay. You're gonna send the list of questions you're good at. So the next time we're gonna work on that. So,
all right. Anyone else? Any other?
Well, I think.
Okay.
I was going to say a few people are probably itching to go to the bathroom after that round. That was a long round. Why don't we take a quick look at the brackets to see who's going to be up next? Because the 4 people who have sort of won those rounds are going to need to compete again in a few minutes' time. So Jason is going to be taking on Michael. And Tim and Andrew are going to go head-to-head as well for the next case, which is going to be the semi-finals, round of 4.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, with that in mind, why don't we take a quick break, let people head to the bathroom, and we can see what's coming up next.
All right.
Alrighty. So next up, more torture. For those of you who were silly enough to win the last round, you've been paid a little bit more money, and as a result, you're here and subjecting yourself to another one of Andrew's horrible cases.
Well, I would say this one is not going to be as horrible. The cases were built. I'm trying to build one case at a time. So this one was actually built the last one. And I was trying to get the feedback from the previous ones, and let's see how it unfolds. For this one, I hope that people might be scoring high enough. So let's see what the case is all about.
I love real quick here that we have 4 different countries represented out of 37 different countries entered, I think, right? So this is great that we managed to have a nice broad array of contestants from different countries around the world. So. All right, let's move on to take a look at this case.
This time, one player is playing Tri-Peaks, a one-player card game. The player has dealt a total of 100 games and wants to model the outcome of these games. Each time the player reshuffles the deck of cards, and the sequence of cards in the deck for each game is provided to the participants. The game is played by one player with a standard 52-card deck. At the beginning of each game, the player places a total of 28 cards on the table, forming 3 mountain peaks. The cards are being dealt from the bottom line, left to right. The goal of the game is to clear the cards from the table. The player starts each game by drawing the next card from the deck. This card is now called an open card. To clear a card from the 3 peaks on the table, the player looks for a card that is 1 rank higher or lower than the open card. For example, it is possible to place a 3 or a 5 on the 4 of hearts. Ace is both high and low, so it can be placed onto kings and 2s, and kings and 2s can be placed onto aces. The suits and the colors of the cards don't matter in this game. Participants can only take those cards from the table that have no cards below them on the corresponding mountain. So, to be able to clear the King of Hearts, at first they will need to remove both aces below the king. And to be allowed to clear the 7 of spades on top of the mountain, you need to clear all the other 9 cards of this mountain first. After a card is cleared from the table, it becomes a new open card itself. Now, a 2 or a 4 can be placed on top of the 3. As there are no 2s or 4s available on the table, the next card from the deck should be drawn, and now this is the open card. If there are still no 2s or 4s, they should go on drawing the next card until it is possible to clear something from the table. It might well be the case that several cards can be cleared from the table. To simplify the calculations, the first card to clear is the card that was dealt earlier, even if it's totally wrong from the tactical point of view. Point value is used for scoring. Ace is 50 points and 2s are 2 points worth.
This feels a bit more like a case in an earlier round. Same kind of card setup there. Right, so at least possibly a bit more familiar. People have made it here.
Yeah, I think that the players they should be more or less familiar with how to break the suits and the values of the cards. They might probably be familiar with the fact that 10 has 2 digits instead of 1 compared to all the other cards. These are the basic tricks that they need to know. And for the sake of the competition, I really like the way the layout of how this case looks on the screen. So hopefully we'll get some nice pictures, not just a pure white grade of cells.
Right. All right. Any questions from our players? All right.
Have any of you actually played TriPeaks before, out of curiosity? No? Okay. No? Excellent. So
yeah, I think so.
Mostly in the same
Maybe a few
boat.
times.
Oh, Michael.
Yeah.
Michael, the only one with familiarity. All right. Okay. Tim, you want to do our countdown for us?
All right. Yeah. Well, let's get started. Good luck. Have fun, everyone. And we'll start in 3, 2, 1. And let's get going. All righty. 30 minutes on the clock. So I've always enjoyed the game of TriPeaks. Like I have played this plenty of times, through various solitaire, random things you find on your computer, and it's the only thing about this case that I think is a bit of a shame, but also really hard otherwise, is that there's a simplistic way that they're going to be solving this. So for those people who are watching and you've played this card game, you know that you're kind of trying to dig deep through those mountains and try to open up as many cards as possible to give yourself kind of like the biggest variety of cards to choose from when you're sort of opening up new cards. But the rules and the logic that we've set up in this case is basically to try and take cards from the bottom layer first and then the second layer from left to right. And so rather than trying to use those, big brain IQ points to try and work out, do you take the card on the left or card on the right based on what's underneath it? There's just a sort of a standardized, 1 to 10 sort of rule to tackle which card to use, which takes a little bit of the strategy out of it, but certainly makes it a solvable problem within half an hour.
Hey, well, let's jump over and see Michael Jarman's screen just first. Okay, so he is building a lookup table there. So that way from the card, he can figure out how many points, what is that?
Nice. So he's got a left and a right column. So I think you had the card, the number of points, but then a column for left and a column for right to say whether you go up or down. So again, if you think about how the rules of the game work, if you start off with a 10, for example, so a 10 is the open card, the next card that can be played is either a 9 or a jack. And so he's using that lookup table, presumably, to work out which one of those are actually available for him to use. So
yeah, and he also
got
had
a clever approach to dealing with it.
Yeah, you also have to take into account that some of the cards are blocked by the others, so you can't really go ahead and get the top of the mountains. So you have to dig your or kind of work your way from the bottom to the top before you're able to clear some of the cards. Yeah, have a look at how many comments and expressions do we have here in the chat. So really, there's a lot of things going on live today. Yeah, with some ads and spam as well, but that's life.
I've seen more nicknames from Michael Jarman than he is definitely leading on nicknames.
Yeah, his nickname is
Charming
Thor.
Army.
Charming Army, and the Thor. He's a Thor. I mean, have a look at the bird and at his powers in Excel. He's an Excel Thor, that's for sure.
Okay, so here in the first round, they're just trying to figure out which card you play first. Is that right? Level 1, you have the whole deck given to you, and you have to decide after dealing the cards, which card is the first card.
And
oh no, it's actually how many points in total will be on the 10 cards initially open. So
yeah,
that's
that's a very easy. That's a very easy one. And you see the points for Jason and Andrew being scored. Let's have a look at Jason's screen right now.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, he's already filled in the whole first level 1 and moving on to level 2. So in this case, level 1 is worth 60 points, and he got all of those very quickly. Off to a quick lead. Although really, Michael shouldn't be far behind. Go ahead, level 2.
Yeah. I was going to say level 2, for those of you who can't read what's on the screen, it's basically trying to work out how many points are going to be in the first card that gets played, essentially. The first card that gets cleared from the table. So if they've this I guess the first level basically challenges them to understand how to translate the cards into points. The second one is basically helping them to set up the logic around which card do you actually select. Going from left to right, do you go the card up or the card down from whatever the open card is at each point. So, for those of you who are playing along at home, these questions basically progress through the levels and kind of introduce new logic as you go. They basically sort of teach you how to lay out the game in the first couple of rounds until you get to that sort of grand solution in the final rounds.
Exactly.
He's highlighted card number 29 there. Card number 29. That's an important card because that's the first card that gets turned up, right? That's where you're starting from after dealing out the other 28 cards to the deck. Is that correct?
Yes, you're right. Yeah, he's actually highlighted the last one in the deck. That's the last one that goes onto the table, and the card next to that, to the right of that card, is actually the one that's going to be there, being the first open card.
All right. Interesting strategy. You just need to figure out the match, and again, if the open card is a 10, you can go either 9 or Jack, 1 up or 1 down, but you can't put a 10. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
you're right.
So it's interesting that who we looked at initially, Michael had a table where he had left or right. Jason looks like he's going to be matching up the card that's been getting chosen to start off with, and then basically just going +1 or -1 to try and find the card next to it, essentially. So rather than using 2 columns to sort of work out the up and down, he's probably going to be using 1 column and using that as an index, essentially, to try and find out what's the next card, which works really well for everything between 2 and queen, but isn't going to work when it comes to the ace and the king cards, because obviously with a king, you can sort of jump up to ace, or you can sort of go down to queen, and for the ace card, you can go in either direction. You can either switch to king, so sort of loop back around to the other side of the index, or you can go up the numbers to 2 instead. So it'll be interesting to see how he kind of deals with that problem.
Even with that approach, he still gets most of the points for the round, and the other items that he doesn't score correctly, he could be doing manually. So. I was just about to ask what's the formula V left, but it was a typo. in one of the first rounds, there was a player from Germany, Karl-Heinz White, and he was actually using a German Excel, and we were amazed with the host of the round, like, what's that formula all about? Like, he was really trying to write some very interesting formulas that we've never met. And as he is coming from engineering background, we thought, like, okay, there probably is something in Excel that's designed towards engineers. But again, it turned out it's just German version of Excel.
Is this strategy going to work? Is this going to allow him to, if he's looking for a 3 or a 5, I'm not sure I follow exactly how he's going to do that conversion.
Not if he doesn't change his first left function, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, that first left function is supposed to be looking for, like, I'm wondering if it's supposed to be looking for the 10s in there, or whether, because yeah, I mean, I would have thought that he needs to do something to cater for the 10 suits, or the 10 cards, sorry.
Yeah, right.
And that's where I thought maybe if he did a VLOOKUP, sort of VLOOKUP left 10, can't find the 10, then do something else. Not quite sure where he's going with this now.
Yeah, it almost feels like he's looking for another 10, which is actually a card that you can't play. You need the 9 or the Jack. There has to be a lookup table somewhere that he's working on. All right, interesting. So we're almost 9 minutes in, 21 minutes to go. We've taken a look at Jason and Michael so far. How about Tim, I guess. Let's go to Tim and see how Tim.
Check out.
All right, so they both solved level 1. They've both gotten their 60 points. Tie score right now between Tim and Andrew.
Yeah, that's interesting that they're trying to solve that on the blue background, which really makes it impossible to see anything if it's a black color. So you should either switch to either white font or white background. That's exactly what he's trying to do here. When I was doing a test run for this case, I was actually using a second tab.
That's what I would have done too. Definitely a second tab. Get just back to a regular Excel spreadsheet, white and black, even though it's not exciting on the screen, on the live stream, but easier to work with.
Anyway, you switch back and forth from the white tab to the colored tab with all these nice graphs over here, all these nice, symbols of suits. It's still fine. It's still fine for the broadcast there. Okay.
All right, so that's Tim. Let's see how Andrew is doing.
Yeah, that's exactly the approach. That's exactly what you were saying, Bill.
So he has a second sheet that he's inserted.
Yes, and have a look at cell E2 on the very top left corner. It seems that it's highlighted in yellow, and it seems that that's the driver for the scenario. So basically, he changes the number. Right now, he's looking for example number 2, and as soon as he changes a number there, he gets a different scenario, and the model recalculates. So that's a very good setup for running a data table later on.
Right, and that's the data table found back on the data what if analysis, the one that allows you to run a model multiple times very, very quickly, as opposed to the format as table. Not right. Control T, that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's actually funny. The data tables and financial modeling are used to run scenarios. They're generally used to sort of build a scenario manager and run through a bunch of different cases. And the ironic thing about that is that the button for the data table sits right next to a button that's called Scenario Manager in Excel, which is probably the worst and most underused function in Excel because it does absolutely nothing good for you at any point in time.
Right.
So yes, data tables are very commonly used in financial modeling, which is probably why you've seen so many of them in the FMWC Open in the last week.
All right, so I would expect Tim to get scores here very quickly once he gets this working for the first one. They'll all just come for that next that level 2. Should be able to score 120 or 90 points.
That's right.
Very quickly.
Yeah, So he's using the mod function here. So in case people watching at home don't understand what that does, the mod function basically takes the remainder when you divide x by y, essentially. My guess is that he's probably using the mod function to basically jump to the end of the number of cards that he's picking up, and then sort of loop back around to the first card in the set. So it's going to be a matter for him to try and work out exactly how to calibrate that mod function to work correctly, given the inputs that he has.
Before we jump to other players, could you please also expand about the ABS function, Tim? There is also some interesting ABS function. Tell people more about that.
ABS function is the absolute function. So there we're basically taking the absolute of the numbers. So if mod, I was about to say mod's going to be mod will always give you a positive number. So it's probably had it the wrong way around. So now he's put it inside the mod. It's basically taking the absolute value, which I think is actually incorrect in this case. Because if you take the way mod works, if you take mod of -1 divided by 13, that's not actually going to be -1 divided by 13 gives you a remainder of 1, right? It actually gives you a value of 12, being kind of the continuation of the cycle. Because mod 013 is 0, mod 113 is 1, and so on. But mod -1 will give you a 12 result. And I think Andrew is probably testing this right now to work out how do I get that 12 result? That's something unexpected for him. So now he's going to go back and try and solve this. Yeah.
And that's exactly what I really saw that he was struggling there. He was trying different combinations like ABS before the mod, and then the ABS formula, trying different combinations. None of them works. But it's the good news for him is that he's trying to go for a universal solution. It seems that he's solving for the first 5 cards, and that's something that seems to be needed for level 3 and even level 4. So we might see a bunch of points for him a bit later in the game. Meanwhile, let's go to Jason and see what's Jason up to with 138 points on the board. So he's clearly up to level 3. Okay, I just wonder.
See Harry has actually jumped back into the chat. So having been knocked out in the previous round, he's now smack talking Jason from the chat.
I wonder if he's going to be rooting for the opponent that beat him.
But he is absolutely right. So Harry's just made the point that Jason scored 138 points, which is all well and good, but it means that he's got some answers wrong in level 2. So the logic that he's put together isn't quite there, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay. There are a lot of fans of Michael Jeremy Army. Let's go. Oh, we see a lot of cheering there. Let's go, Jason, Andrew, and Gods. Wow, a lot of different nicknames for the players. Actually, on our most active social media channel is actually on LinkedIn, because this is all very related to professional matters, and there is a lot of discussions on FMWC LinkedIn channel. So. And one of the posts that had a lot of traction there was actually devoted to the player nicknames. So quite amazing to see how, for example, we have a player, her name is Gabriela Stroj. She's from Poland. She was beating everybody in the previous rounds. Unfortunately, she didn't make it to the final, was kicked out in the last round before that. And her name, her nickname was, for example, the Destroyer, just similar to the surname, and quite a bunch of other interesting nicknames as well. So if you want to follow the regular things that are going on in this field, and let's say about the financial modeling competitions, and also some helpful Excel tricks and tips, probably just follow our LinkedIn channel, FMWC, and that's going to be a very interesting stuff to follow. Meanwhile, we have Andrew and Guy scoring 150 points.
All right, let's go take a look at Andrew's screen.
So Andrew's clearly solved his level 2. He's worked out his mod functions, gotten through the problems, and he's used his data table to basically run through all the answers for level 2 instantly, which is great.
Awesome, right. And then he should be able to adapt that for the next level as well. Is that right? Level 3. that actually requires a sequence then. How far, after you play that first card, how many cards can you play in a row, and how many points is that?
There you go. There you go. He has 302 points, 302 points. Not all of them are correct, but he has most of them done.
Andrew jumping out to a big lead there. Let's go back to Michael Jarman for Jarmy's Army. See how he's doing there.
Jarmy Army. I look forward to seeing Jarmy Army t-shirts pop up at the cricket in the next next couple of days.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea for the merch.
The sequence function. All right, so he's ready to do his data table as well. Generating, it looks like, data, what if analysis data table. There it is. And he'll fill in the column input cell right up there in the yellow cell. I love the using the yellow highlighting suggested by Excel ever since Excel 2007 for input cells. I remember thinking, why?
Yeah, we
why
get
yellow?
150 points.
Yeah.
So this shows us he's got his logic 100% right, scoring the 4 points level 2. Excellent.
All right.
So it's worth noting that he's now sort of 12 points ahead of Jason. So if Jason doesn't make headway on the next few rounds, Michael's in a position where he's kind of got that lead ahead.
Right.
So, but amazingly, judging from his face's expression, he's not satisfied with the logic that he has there. So something is wrong there. He's testing for some things, and something doesn't really work. So right now he's trying to go from just one single card to the next level, trying to see what's going to be the sequence of the cards. Like if he places a card on top of an open card, what's going to be the next one that could be placed there until he runs out of cards. And apparently the logic there is also you have to track the fact that are you able to play a card or not. And as soon as you start clearing the cards from the lower line, the cards in the upper lines are being able to be played. So that could make your sequence a little bit longer. And have a look, Jason has scored more points, so he's just 4 points behind Michael.
This is going to be neck and neck. All right, you want to take a look at Jason?
Have a look. Yeah, let's go there. By the
way,
way,
it's interesting that with Michael's. Sorry, go on, Andrew.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that if they both finish at a tie, then whoever was the first to get there, at this point, Michael, if the result is 150 to 150, assuming that Jason scores 4 points more, then it's going to be Michael who progresses to the next round. So our team in the control room is keeping track on the scores, and that's going to be the deciding factor there.
Fair enough. So it's interesting that Michael wasn't quite at the stage where Andrew was at in solving level 2. Michael was doing everything in a single row, whereas Andrew had his over a fairly large table. And I think that's probably because Andrew was looking ahead to think, what is the next question? It's not a case of just picking the first card to be solved. It's trying to work out the next sequence of cards. And that's why Andrew had that table approach where you have the cards going across the board and then going down the page, it would sort of look at round 2, round 3, round 4. What am I removing and what am I taking in at each point in time? So Michael's probably just got to adapt his solution in order to get there.
Yeah, there are some various tricks and various special occasions there. So your universal solution might be working in some place, in some cases, but it might not be working in all of them. So then you either go to look for an error, or you might be trying to get more points on the next level. Jason's on level 3.
Jason's pulling ahead here, but slowly, just one at a time.
So Jason is doing it manually at the moment. You can see what he's doing. He's flicking the switches in that D180 or 130 cell. So he's currently looking at case number 35, and he's manually inspecting his tri-peaks there to see which is the next card to get pulled through. And he's using that as a means of then populating his answer sheet. So he's realized that he's not going to be able to find the automated solution, and he's going down that manual route, and he isn't sort of leaving it to the last couple of minutes in order to get there.
Yeah, but very slowly he's taking the lead, and if he continues at this pace, Michael's going to have to solve most of this next level.
Again, if Michael solves everything on this level, he's going to get huge amount of points. Probably he's going to bring himself to 300 something. And like if you solve level 3 manually, you don't stand any chance to continue solving on level 4. Well, it's like at least not automatically. And the level 4 will be much more complicated. So we'll have to go through many rounds of the game. So it's not that easy actually to do. So, but still, you know, that's a good progress there. And basically, if Jason is able to complete the game and Michael is not able to score anything on level 3, then Jason is winning.
He's moving on, right? Yeah. Let's take a look at the other matchup between Tim and Andrew. I don't know. Start with Tim, maybe.
So I'm not quite sure which problem Tim's trying to solve at the moment. It looks like Tim's still stuck on level 2, possibly. Or he's finished level 2, but hasn't gotten much of the way of answers, at least. Was Tim the one who had the problem with the left and the VLOOKUP issue before? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But I can see a bunch of NAs in one of his earlier cells, and I'd say not getting that level 1 fundamental, the level 1 and 2 fundamentals right, is probably going to cost him in level 3. So I don't think he's going to be able to take down Andrew's lead at this point.
Let's see how Andrew's doing. Andrew with 302 currently in the lead.
Yeah, and actually having a look at Tim's current answers that he has submitted, I clearly see that something is fundamentally wrong there in a way that he probably either interpreted the case, because it's not that the numbers are not matching; they're completely off the correct answers. So that's something is really wrong there.
You've all had that coworker who thinks that just because there's an answer in Excel, it's the right answer and doesn't bother to check anything. Reminds me of some of the people who used to drive me crazy. It's like, didn't you look at this? Reasonableness check, do something, right? Having an answer is not the answer.
That being said, Tim just did put on 50 points onto the board just now, so he's clearly corrected something that he's working on. The question is whether he's going to correct enough of it to kind of catch up to Andrew at this stage.
And Andrew currently is working on level 4, is that right?
Yeah,
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, at level 4, what he needs to do is actually to create the sequence of points and to see how many cards can be cleared if you run 5 cards from the deck. So, and it doesn't mean that it's going to be 5 cards. It could be like 0 cards from the table. It could be, you can run a very long sequence, like let's say Jack, then a Queen, then a King, then back a Queen, a King again, an Ace, like a long sequence on 1 card from the deck, and it could bring you a lot of cards, and that's why you the numbers there are not really easy to interpret and guess.
Sorry, Andrew. I don't want to interrupt you, but I just want to sort of call out what Andrew's just done. He's dropped in ram-betweens into the answers for level 4 and 5, not because he's relying on that to get the answer, but just as a sort of a Hail Mary hope to try and score some points there, in case that happens to give him a couple of points for those rounds. You can see he's not bothered by it at all. He's just recognizing that the 5 minutes ago he might as well get a couple of extra points if RNG gets him there. But yeah, it's a good play, to be honest. It's a really good idea just to sort of score those extra couple of points. Might make the difference. Probably not going to make any difference in this case, to be honest. But good habit to get into in these competitive Excel rounds. And it's probably worth noting, I think ram between is one of those functions that I think nobody really uses in day-to-day work, or very few people use in day-to-day work. But it seems to be part of this this metagame of competitive Excel that people are starting to use ram between to try and generate those answers and to get ahead.
I don't know. Next year's budget with ram between is really fast. You can send that back to the budget department right away. Let's take a look at the other matchup between Michael and Jason. Let's go to Michael. Michael Jarman. Jarmy's Army. Ooh, Jason's ahead, 234 to 150.
So Michael really needs to get this solution to work in order to stay in the running. So it's interesting that I think he's sabotaged himself in some respects now, because he's got this on and off lines going down the page, and that's going to make it a lot harder for him to sort of develop his answers. So the way Andrew had set it up, Andrew had two large tables, so table 1, table 2, whereas Michael's kind of solving it, sort of one pair of lines at a time. And I think, at least, personal opinion anyway, Andrew's approach is going to be a lot smarter than Michael's approach, because Michael, you now have to, you sort of remove yourself from that sort of 30-line, 15-line structure, and you're sort of having to jump around and pick every second row in order to get the answers you're looking for. Still, you can see he's now thinking about setting up his data table. He's got the structure on the right-hand side.
How many points have you solved this all? Right, yeah.
That's right. So let's follow him as he does this. He's going to go to data table. He's going to drop in his scenario in C1. And let's see what he scores when he copies this over. So is he going to catch up? 302 points. There you go.
Oh.
So he's now taking the lead back over from Jason.
Let's see how Jason's doing then.
And
wow, that was a close. That was a really close match.
That's points right there for a data table, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So you see,
Jason's up to game 49. So he's only got one more game level 3 to go. So he's made a couple of mistakes in level 3 by the looks of it. And so if they're now both manually going to be doing level 4, Michael's definitely got the lead in this case.
Yeah, that's the approach of data tables. Like, you really get yourself a better and more more reliable solution there.
Mm-hmm. So coming into the last minute, it looks like Michael and Andrew are going to be the ones who are progressing on to the final round. Don't want to call it just yet, but it's kind of looking this way.
Jason's still kind of reading the rules there. You would think you'd go with a ram between.
I don't think ram between is going to help them very much. Why don't we head back over to Michael? Because Michael,
there he is.
Michael
There
scored
is.
202 points, but he really quickly needs to get a couple more points on the board. Otherwise, it's entirely possible Jason's going to sort of chase him in the last few answers. So he's still looking at his universal solution. Really quick question. Do the contestants know they've only got 30 seconds left? Or does he think that this is a 40-minute round as well?
No, I mean, they were all briefed that it... Sorry, Bill, go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, at this point, surely he should be just trying to answer these. But, oh no, here we go. Round between. He recognizes how much time he has left. There we go. 5 seconds to go. Final round between. He's going to pop that in the answers. And I think we're out of time.
Wow, what a nail biter. Wow. Holy smokes. Michael Jarman pulling it out over Jason Moore, and Andrew cruising to a solid win over Tim.
Wow. What a game.
That was a great battle.
And look at that, 302 for both Michael and Andrew, who will be meeting in the final. So dead heat there. Although I think Andrew probably reached that level first, didn't he? If I remember right.
He did by quite some margin, I think.
Right, yeah. Which would be the tiebreaker had they been going head to head.
Okay. So, yeah, let's then get back to the studio and have a quick chat with our players. So,
all right, congratulations, Michael and Andrew, for pulling it out there. Both very close. Michael, you pulled ahead just at the end with that data table there that solved everything. You got your 302 points.
Yeah, I sort of realised that I maybe shouldn't have been so ambitious in sort of what I did, but luckily I got at least level 3 done just in time because I was pretty stressed watching the clock with a couple minutes to go.
Yeah, right. And then Andrew scoring exactly the same amount, 302. You're moving on as well. What was your strategy, and how close were you to the next level?
I was still quite a bit away from the next level, so yeah. But I think I tried to build one model to because I looked at all the questions and it looks like it's all about playing the game. So I tried to build one model that can play the whole game, but then I kind of didn't bother with some of the harder parts, which I expect that I can't get up to the last stage, for example. So I didn't really try to build that in at all. But yeah, I think level 4 was just a bit too hard to get done, at least for me in half an hour.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Jason and Tim, you did a great job making it to the final 4, top 4 in the world, and taking home $1,000. Any thoughts on Jason? Let's start with you. How did you do?
I tried to brute force it. It was terrible. I'm not good doing Excel quickly, so just too quick.
Wow.
There's no shame in that. You're about 5 minutes away from taking that round, to be honest. We were getting really nervous over here on the commentary side, watching as your score was steadily climbing and Michael's score was stuck on 150. So don't fear at all for your approach. You nearly took out the win as a result.
Right. That's right. Tim, how about you?
Yeah, tough. I think I just went down the wrong track for most of that. Struggled quite a bit, but yeah, well done, Andrew. Quite like that one back, but I still don't think I've beaten you. So yeah, well done.
All right.
Fair enough.
Okay.
So shall we take a look at our final bracket for the tournament?
Yes.
Okay. So Andrew and Michael will be competing in the finals, which will be starting in a few minutes' time. Andrew being the 2nd seed, Michael being the 5th seed, both taken very different routes to get here, but looking forward to a fantastic match. Before we jump into the finals, though, we do have an interview or a video from Joe McDade from Microsoft. For those of you who are watching, you're probably very familiar with who Joe is as one of the program managers on the Excel team. And so Joe is here to share his thoughts on these different competitions and how Excel can work as an esport.
And I'm a program manager on the Microsoft Excel team. I work on sort of calculation type features, the features that you might be familiar with or you might see in future that I worked on are things like dynamic arrays and all the related formulas associated with dynamic arrays. Things like XLOOKUP, and there are fun features coming in the future which I can't really delve, but watch the space. Back then, I was working as a financial modeling consultant, building financial models. So I was deep in financial modeling. I've never taken part in a financial modeling competition, but I've been involved in financial modeling competitions since 2012. I was one of 4 folks who started the first financial modeling competition, I think Model Off, which was a precursor to the Financial Modeling World Championships. We wanted to make sure that we had some questions that would be fun. It wasn't just about doing work. Yeah, the poker challenge was a question which we set back in the first Model Off. I think it was 2012, and I think it was the first challenge question in sort of financial modeling competitions. You had 2 poker hands in a spreadsheet, and you had to write logic that would figure out if player 1 or player 2 won. There could also be a draw, and you had to do that just using formulas. And what we did was we had some macros that would run through 1,000 hands, and the contestants had to build their logic and make sure it could work for all 1,000 of those poker hands without any errors. And that was a lot of fun. Excel is, and I don't think many people out there in the professional world think of Excel this way, but we certainly do on the team. Excel's a programming language. It's a functional programming language, if you want to get technical, but it's the world's largest programming language by user base. So there is so much you can build in a spreadsheet, you just need imagination. And we're adding more and more tools to turn it into more of a programming language. Things like lambdas and net functions, which will allow you to do more interesting formulas and also share them with your colleagues. And so there's there are some really fun elements, and I think the spreadsheets that you can build are really constrained by imagination and time.
Here we are. It's finally here after all of these, the build up leading up to this, all of these live streams in the last 8 days. We're finally down to the finals. Michael and Andrew, congratulations for making it here.
Thank you. It's been a fun competition. I really liked solving all the interesting cases, and I can just imagine how much time you spent thinking of them. So.
Yeah, Andrew.
You cannot imagine
these off.
Initially, I was planning it. Fun at 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Well, should we take a look at this last case, the final case?
In this task, FMWC Open participants are military advisors to the warlord of a fantasy medieval country of Wincha. Wincha is always at war with its neighboring country Loblinia. Their goal is to model a possible outcome of a military engagement between the two armies under various scenarios. The answer should be the total number of health points, HP, remaining for the winning army. Both armies employ the same types of military units, knights, infantry, and archers. Each unit has its own characteristics, health power, shooting power, and attack power. The model assumes that the battle takes place as a series of turns. Every turn both armies make damage to each other simultaneously. The total amount of damage is attack power times the number of attacking units. All the damage initially goes to infantry, then to knights, and then to archers. For example, if the Winzian army does 1,000 points of damage to the Lobenian army, 33 Lobenian infantrymen are killed and 1 is wounded. The wounded infantryman will be able to attack in full next turn, but will now have only 20 health points left. There are 5 levels of complexity for this task.
Alright, this sounds like the perfect case for the Jami army, is that right?
Michael, you know they're already hawking shirts in the streets of Manhattan right now with your like this and Jeremy's army.
Oh, that is great to hear. Yes, thanks to all the Jami army. Thanks for their support. And yeah, hopefully I can bring it home for them.
All right. Any questions? Andrew, you want to do a countdown for us?
First of all, guys, do you need any time for, reading through everything? Any extra time to get acquainted with the case? Because this one might take a little bit more of, getting acquainted with that. Michael, Andrew, are you more comfortable with that, with the case?
Okay.
I think I'm happy.
Michael?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, all right then. The final game of FMWC Open 2021. 3, 2, 1, and let's begin.
All right, 30 minutes.
30 minutes, yeah.
So
And,
folks in the chat and the YouTube live stream were joking. The finals is going to be some sort of Diablo 2 simulator. But no, as it turns out, it's going to be Heroes of Might and Magic simulator. Andrew, how did you come up with this question?
Well, yeah, actually, you know, it was like a lot of time ago when I had more free time away from putting in cases for, for the Financial Modeling World Cup. You know, I enjoyed playing Heroes of Might and Magic. So basically, this was something that I kind of looked in inspiration for. Of course, the rules are, you know, less complicated, and you know, we don't have dragons and you know, rage units, but except for the archers here on level 6. But otherwise, yeah, that's probably something that's coming from that. I think we can discuss the case, but let's see on this. Let's see the screen for Michael. Let's go. See Michael. He's going to be getting his first points soon enough. It's like we were joking with the team, with FMWC team earlier today that we've made this case easier. So instead of 5 levels of complexity, now this case has 6 levels of complexity. But again, we've actually cleared the last 2 levels. One level that was level 5 previously, and introduced 2 smaller or easier levels for that. So level 1 and level 2 should be very easy to solve. That's one single formula that's going to bring them. They don't really. They're so comfortable with their results, so they're probably going to be copying and pasting just into the file.
That's right. They actually score when they paste these into Excel online to keep our online scoreboard correct. And looking at Michael's answers there, he is correct in level 1. Those are all correct. And wow, level 2, look how quick that was. Okay, so then level, oh, he's going back. I think he has the right answers in level 2. He's going back to check or to change his formula. Oh yeah, there are a few mistakes there. What are we trying to solve here in level 2? What's the question, Andrew?
The question level 2 is actually about how many attack points will an army score? Will an army score at one or another, you know, strength at the first round? So basically, these the first 2 levels are helping them to just get in shape to see how the results are flowing, to see how the model should be done there.
Yeah. So I think one of the complexities about Heroes of Might and Magic as a game is that you can basically choose who each unit is attacking, and so you tend to focus down the problem units, the ones that will do the most damage back to you, and then sort of, you know, so you've got a priority of units to try and take out. In this example, the way the basic rules work is that you need to take down all the units 1 unit at a time, essentially, once they hit level 3 and onwards. The idea is that I believe all the infantry kind of soak up the damage first before the knights soak up the damage. And then there's this sort of additional complexity when looking at the archers and how they take damage. You've got infantry and you've got knights still on the board, and your opponent only has archers. Your knights and infantry need to sort of catch up to the archers and close the distance before you can actually do damage. So you know, there is still some of that additional sort of distance-based complexity in here that that you might retain from the games.
Okay, yeah, so but again, these are all.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Bill. What I was just wanted to comment on Tim's remark is that the archers appear only on level 6, so that's the final piece of complexity that the players need to introduce into their model. I would imagine the first 2 are easy enough. You know, you see the points of the arrow on the scoreboard. Level 3 and level 4, they should probably be solvable with the same approach. So yeah, I think that's something we're going to see soon enough. Mm-hmm. So have a look. They're trying to create a foundation for a data table, because this is a model that, you know, like to solve each of the scenarios, we'll probably need to go, you know, both horizontally and vertically with your formulas, and run one scenario at a time, and data tables that are very good for that.
So it's interesting that Michael's needing to, so he's put his turns going across the page, which is interesting, I think. When I had to go trying to solve this, I actually did my turns going down the page, figuring that I'd have my starting units and health and attack power and so on going across. That way, all of my values would be in kind of the same format as the inputs are. So it looks like here he's setting up his inputs just like a more traditional financial model, perhaps, with the intention that I guess at some point he's going to turn this into a sort of an attack time series and a health time series. There we go. So now he's realizing he actually needs to put this going down the page instead.
Yeah, it's very important to get this set up early on the correct way, because you don't have to redo the formatting later on. I was also amazed by the fact that he's really formatting the things. Have a look. He has column A for the titles, column B for unit names.
Oh, that's your standard, isn't it? When you're building models and you do it so frequently, I think all these things come as second nature after a point in time, don't they? Why don't we hop over to Andrew and see how Andrew's tackling this problem?
Okay, so yeah, let's move on to Andrew's screen.
Alrighty. Here we go. So I think Andrew is basically taking pretty much exactly the approach that I would have taken to solve this, where he's got his units for side 1 on the left-hand side, units for side 2 on the right-hand side, and then you've got the number of units, or the health of the units, damage, and what the remaining health is at a point in time. And so going down the rows, what we'll see is that HP counter in columns M to O kind of drop off and decrease as each turn gets played. So I think this is he might not score very many points for the next 5-10 minutes or so, but this structure is basically going to be the foundation for all of the answers he's making. He's not just trying to solve this for just infantry, which is what level 3 is going to be. He's trying to solve this for everything, and this should theoretically sort of launch him to 1,000 points and get him all the answers right to the end of level 6 if he gets this right.
You're perfectly right, Tim. Another amazing thing that I see here is the difference of approaches between both guys. Andrew is building his model vertically, so you see, if you see in column B, he has turn number 0, number 1, number 2 going down. At the same time, I got an impression that Michael was building his model horizontally, so basically his turns will be coming as columns and will be going to the right. Both ways are perfectly correct, so it's not going to be a disadvantage for any of the guys building the model one or another way.
Mm-hmm. So it's really interesting in here as well. I think I think even though the problem is infantry only, I think the example includes knights and archers, which may actually be influencing how Andrew is trying to solve this problem. Because he's using the example there, he needs to work out all of the details for the knights and the archers in order to sort of confirm his solution against the sample answer that's provided in the case.
In my opinion, it might be a little bit easier to start with knights and archers, solve everything through level 5. Sorry, knights and infantry, solve everything up until level 5, and then try to add level 6 on top of that.
Mm-hmm. It looks like he's got a pretty good solution so far, just at a quick glance of things anyway. So it looks like the first couple of columns that he has represent a number of units that are left standing after each round of combat. The second set of columns is the damage that each unit is doing, so that stays constant throughout the entire column. And then you've got the actual damage that those units are doing in the next set of columns. Brilliant. Okay. So he looks well underway. Why don't we switch back to Michael and see how Michael's handling this?
I'm just watching the comments on the stream, like so many fans of Andrew there. They're saying that 270 APM, Andrew is unhuman. I mean, they're all unhuman here. these are just
I mean,
brilliant.
Andrew's certainly working faster than Michael. So if they both manage to clinch the full 1,000 points, the way that Andrew is going, I think Andrew's probably going to get there first, which, as I understand, in a tiebreak will kind of serve him well, right? So, you know, it is to his benefit that he's working as quickly as he is.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So, but I see that Michael again is building a universal solution, but it seems that he's a little bit behind in terms of, you know, putting the logic there. However, it's not that important about the speed. If you make a large model that contains a lot of errors, you're probably not gonna get too far with that. And it seems that we're not going to see a lot of points on the scoreboard at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It certainly looks like Andrew has a more robust solution, though, right? I mean, with columns going across for all of these that Michael is still building right now.
I mean, Andrew's got a more complete solution at the moment. I wouldn't necessarily say it's more robust, because I think they're probably taking the same approach to it, where you can see what Michael's doing. He's bucketing up the health, he's bucketing up damage, he's bucketing up the number of units in each army at each point in time. He's working off the first line, the first sort of sample line, as opposed to the example, because he's solving it for infantry specifically, I think, initially. But I mean, it's exactly the same problem. It's just sort of laid out going across the page instead of down the page. Even for financial modelers, I think financial modelers will generally tend to solve things going across the page, because, you know, your time series will generally go across, and you'll have labels going down the page, because that way you can fit more calculations and sort of more text on the screen, you know, for your real estate that you're working with. Having large columns with labels of your calculations don't really serve you well when it comes to sort of laying out a financial model. So Michael's probably taken the more conventional approach to it, but Andrew's probably thought ahead and realized, actually, it would be nice to be able to see all of my the different labels, so the armies, the health, the damage, and so forth, going across the screen, which is where the real estate is. And so, you know, working down the page is a perfectly valid way to approach the problem. And we can see here he's sped ahead. He looks like he's solved level 3 as well. So why don't we switch over to Andrew's screen and see how
He's just scored.
It's just worked.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just scored points for level 3. That's my impression here. So let's go to see Andrew's screen.
So the way he's set this up, by solving it for level 3, my understanding is that he's probably also very quickly going to solve it for level 4 as well. Because level 3 is infantry only. Level 4 includes the additional complexity of adding knights to the mix. Again, for those people who are watching in terms of infantry versus knights and what does this even mean, infantry basically have lower health, they do lower damage, and they soak up the damage first. And so your knights are the ones who have a higher health pool, do more damage, and will keep doing damage while your infantry are getting whittled down. The logic, though, it's exactly the same between the infantry and the knights. And so if he's got his logic working for the infantry, presumably it's recreating that logic for the knights, subject to working out when the health actually gets reduced. So he's got to work out this. You'll see him focusing on this HP lost columns over here. It's basically trying to work out how does he set up so the infantry are all dying off first, and then sort of soaking the damage out to the knights after that. But doing it in a way where the turn that the infantry are completely wiped out, there's probably also going to be some damage that spills over to the knights at that point too.
Yeah, it could be the case. It could really be the case here. And you see he has some errors in some of the instances.
Yeah, my guess in this case, you can see in column R, he's got some negative numbers in the HP lost for Winseer. And so what he's done, he hasn't put in some sort of a flaw to the calculation. So what he really needs is a max function or something there to basically stop it from going into negative numbers, because I think that is causing the problem with the NAs and his results. It's trying to look up when the win actually happens, when things hit 0, and it's not actually hitting 0 because it's overshooting.
Yeah, Tim, great commentary. I mean, you're really spot on. That's probably exactly what's happening here.
There we go. We can see he's using the min function here, looking at the damage that's getting done, just making sure the knights don't get overkilled essentially by the amount of damage that's coming in.
When he solves this, he'll be up to 480 points if he gets them all right.
Yeah.
Should we go take a look at Michael and see how Michael's doing with his vertical approach?
I think it's quite good here. Yeah, but at the end of the day, if he gets column 1 correctly, it's all about just copying and pasting that to the right. And I don't think he needs more than 20 years there. So, 20 turns.
So we can see Andrew has got the 480 points now. So he's completed his level 4 solution.
Yeah, and actually level 5 is going to be very easy. That's just a little addition of the first mover advantage here. So we expect to see more points for Andrew very soon.
Level 5 would get him to 720 out of 1,000. I wonder if Andrew, with 13 minutes left, can get to the full 1,000 to solve everything.
It'd be very impressive. It'd be very impressive if he does. For those who are watching who haven't downloaded the case, level 5. The additional complexity that comes out of level 5 isn't so much to introduce archers, but to introduce this notion of first strike, where I think a smaller army, armies with a certain amount of health, are able to sort of make a first turn attack without taking retaliation damage. So that's probably more consistent with what Heroes of Might and Magic generally is. So. Yeah, it's probably just a minor tweak. I imagine it's something in his code where he's going to work out which is the smaller team, whether they're at under 200 health, 200,000 health, which is the rules that get applied, and just making sure that team is sort of immune or doesn't take damage in that first round. So it's probably only a single formula he needs to change if he's thinking about it correctly.
Yeah, you're perfectly right. So that's again, that's a very simple tweak, and then we're going to see more points coming up for Andrew on the scoreboard. And if we don't get the full points, full 720, it's going to mean that he's probably not taking into account all these conditions for the first strike, including the condition that if both armies are small, then the first strike is not possible.
All right, and so if you're watching this and you're wondering how on earth, or what on earth are we talking about? What is this first strike? How do we actually get these? How do we make these cases work? Do check out the FM World Cup webpage. So that's fmworldcup.com. Remember that you can download the questions for not just the final round, but all 3 rounds, but only while this live stream is still active. So you can basically go to the page, add it to the cart, and get it for free while we are still on stream.
Yeah, and as long as you're able to get them download and sold them faster than the players, that's gonna be send them over, get them into the chat. Like, okay, hey, I'm the one who's beaten both finalists, and
Yeah, right.
we're gonna sign you up for the next season.
That's right.
That's it. Check out Andrew's score. He's up to 720.
Oh wow! Now he just has level 6. So what's the twist in level 6? How tough is it to get from level 5 to level 6?
So level 6 introduces archers. Archers are interesting. So the way the archers work, basically, they have damage that they do from the outset, just like all the other units, but they can't be attacked until the infantry and the knights knocked out. Once the infantry and the knights are knocked out, you can't attack them straight away even. There's a bit of a delay. And so knights need to spend 1 turn just getting to the archers in the first place. Infantry need to spend 2 turns to get to the archers. And once they do get there, they can start dealing damage to the archers, and the archers actually have reduced damage back because, presumably when they're at range, they can pull out their bows and sort of shoot. But once you actually close into close combat, you've got to put the bow away and pull out a dagger or a knife or something which isn't going to serve you very well against these big knights with broadswords and so on. So what we're going to find is that the challenge here is actually a much bigger twist than level 5. So level 5 was basically one formula that needed to change to sort of introduce that sort of immunity for one side. For level 6, introducing these archers adds a whole greater amount of complexity, because once your infantry and knights get knocked out, you then need to sort of build in that delay. But it's not just a single delay across the board for the army, it's two elements of delay, one for the knights, one for the infantry. So where he's currently got damage calculated in a single column, he's probably going to need to sort of split that out and work out what is the knights damage, what is the infantry damage, because they're now both going to be doing sort of different amounts. Even the archers are still going to be able to shoot even while the knights and the infantry are closing. So maybe he's actually going to need 3 columns that he's going to need to work out how much damage each of them are going to be doing individually, add up the relevant ones that can actually do damage at that point in time.
Let's have a look at Andrew's screen. Let's see how far has he gone there. And just adding to what Tim has just told, actually, you don't really need to get all these adjustments to your model inside to score points. If you do them one by one, they're going to bring you some points. So some of these cases don't really require you to model all these, going of the time spent by knights and infantry coming to kill the enemy archers, because there are so few of them and they're all going to be killed by your own archers in the same move. So that's some of the points could be scored without even the full solution. So Michael has just scored level 3.
Right, he was getting ready to do that data table. So he's a couple of levels behind. Next up, though, level 4, that should come fairly quickly to jump up to 480.
And level 5 as well. And if Michael is able to catch up to level 5, and I believe it's quite possible for a modeler of a caliber like him, it's going to be a tie. Basically, the winner will be decided on who's going to be more lucky guessing the next numbers, and it's going to be very tough. Round between is not going to work, because the range of the answers for level 5 is in hundreds of thousands.
Right, way too large. No way you'll ever get any of those.
No way.
Right. Wow.
Maybe he could score one game manually. Maybe.
But it comes down to a 720 tie and lose because you weren't the fastest. That'll be bad for Michael and his legion of Jarmy's followers.
Well,
yeah, so I think Michael's really going to get that level 4, level 5 done, and then quickly manually solve one in order to just try and score those points. Because if he can solve one faster than Andrew can solve one, then Andrew's stuck trying to get this solution for everything. Andrew wants the 1,000 points. You can see it in his eyes right now. He's leaning in. He's really into it. It is currently 6:15 in the morning for Andrew, I should note. So he's been up for a tremendous amount of time. So if he doesn't walk away with the prize here, I think he's going to be really disappointed in himself.
Yeah,
lots of drama. Still, even with his score. If Michael ties it up, how tough is it to walk through a case just without the formulas, just to solve just one?
Quite tough. I mean, you really need a very strong calculator. And still, there are thousands of units or hundreds of units, and they deal damage in hundreds of thousand points per turn. It's quite you probably need about 5 minutes maybe 3 minutes to quickly solve something manually. I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know each battle only seems to take a few turns. So if you look down the list and you find one of the really one-sided battles, you're probably likely to find a battle that gets resolved quite quickly. So even though it might take quite a while to solve one of these problems manually, you can still sort of push the odds in your favor by choosing a battle that is more likely to resolve faster. So you've got less iterations of turns to actually run through.
Wow. Yeah. What a great strategy. Tim, you really need to sign up for the next one.
No, but if I sign up, then I can't be here. This is I know Bill's mentioned this in the past. It's who wants to be under all the pressure of actually having to do this live? You'd much rather be critiquing and commenting from this side.
That's right. Yeah.
It's a lot more fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Can we head over to Michael? Andrew is making progress here. He's trying to work out the sort of last complexities. You can see Michael's now starting to build in the first strike system in place. So he's got that true-false set to work out. Are we supposed to, or can we, or can't we use a first strike? But I mean, first strike is a level 5 question. Has he skipped through level 4 entirely, or has he not realized that he actually needed to submit the level 4 answers before putting first strike in? Because this could actually be a problem. If he's built all of his calculations up using first strike, level 4 doesn't have that sort of added complexity in there. And so with the level 4 answers, if he tries to answer level 4 without the first strike, or with first strike in there, he's actually going to get some incorrect answers as a result.
From what I see, he has submitted the answers for level 4, but these answers are wrong. So something is incorrect there in his model, and the answers are incorrect, quite significantly. So it's not a little twitch. So something, again, it could be one formula that's incorrect, but that gets to be significant.
So I can see something on the screen right now. If you look in column F, the health in rows 41, 42 for the infantry and the knights, you'll see that the infantry drops, but still has some health remaining, has 10,000 health remaining, but the knights drop off from 82,000 to 50,000 there as well. And so whatever formula he's done to work out the knight health, it's not actually working properly. So the knight health is actually dropping off before the infantry actually get taken out, which may explain why his level 4 answers are completely wrong. So with three and a half minutes to go, I don't know that this is actually going to be fixable between now and the end.
I think it's quite fixable. The only problem is that it's going to be a tie, and he doesn't have time for doing at least something manually. And Run With Me will not going to help him, unless he's very, very, very lucky.
So a question in the chat: is Michael aware of both scores, or is he only seeing his score?
He's aware of both scores, okay. As long as he's able to have a look at the screen, which probably might be. He doesn't hear us, but he can see what's going on, so he should be able to see. That's probably the reason for his face expression being so sad at this moment.
Yeah. 3 minutes.
Let's look over to Andrew, see how Andrew's progressing on his final solution. So I don't even think Andrew's looking at our screen. I think he's solely focused and in the zone. You can see he's got a little grin on his face. He does seem confident at this stage. So I think the big question is, can he solve this and score the 1,000 points to make this a slam dunk?
That would be a great completion of a great tournament, actually. So that would really bring a lot of joy for me as a case designer.
So we can see Andrew's basically added in this extra new column that looks at whether there are only archers left. So this is his sort of wider column and column AS, if you can kind of squint and see the screen. So there he's basically trying to work out, are there any archers? Are we only looking at archers left? It'll be 0 when you've got sort of the meat shields in front for the infantry and the knights, and then it looks like it's an increment encounter thereafter. Which is interesting because it means he's actually using that to say when a trigger is happening. So he's not. I was expecting that to be a flag of some sort, of 1 or a 0, but I reckon he's probably using that increment encounter to say, okay, at turn 1, that means that the knights can't do any damage. At turn 2, the knights can do damage, but the infantry can't do damage. And then turn 3, everyone can do damage. So using that as an index is probably a really clever way of trying to sort of solve that problem.
Okay, he's down to basing. Oh yeah, wow, he scored something.
So I think what he's done, Andrew, is he's done what you suggested. Put his existing scores in place. One of the cases seems to have solved using the old rules without needing the archer complexity, and so he's nearly there.
Yeah, I think the reason for him scoring only one there is probably he does not recognize that on these border cases when the damage, like when the knights and infantry stop dealing damage, they cannot do extra damage to the archers. Okay, so another attempt here. So he's gonna be facing more numbers, and half a minute left. I think it's the only question that remains here, whether Andrew will be able to score maximum. But judging that he's still reading instructions, I think he doesn't It's not going to be.
Yeah, he's trying to work out what bit of logic he's misinterpreted. And you're probably right. It's probably the spillover damage that can't just flow over to the archers straight away.
Yeah, 5 seconds left. 5 seconds left.
And we have a champion.
And that's time.
And we're done. Congratulations. Congratulations, Andrew. Tim, you must be really proud of your countrymen.
Absolutely. So even going back as far as model off, Joseph Lau was, I think, a double model off champion in the past. The Australians, I think, generally punch above their weight when it comes to these Excel and financial modeling competitions. And so, very proud, very happy to see a fellow countryman take the prize today.
Yeah. Actually, he was a 3 times world champion, so he won model off twice, and he won the season 2020 of the Financial Modeling World Cup. So, yeah.
Alrighty. So, are we in a position to go have a chat with Andrew and Michael?
Yeah, let's try to do that. It seems that some of them might have dropped the call here. No, they're both there, both back. Hey guys.
Andrew, was it worth staying up till 6:30 in the morning?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Pretty exhausted.
Congratulations.
Michael, you had
Congratulations.
You had a similar approach to Andrew, Michael, but yours a couple of levels behind. It looked like something went a miss there in level 4 for some reason.
Yeah, I imagine I probably did something wrong, but it's quite hard to debug. So yeah, well done, Andrew. Deserved victory. Like, I'm absolutely exhausted, so I don't know how you're still awake.
Well done to you too. You made it very fun.
Indeed.
Andrew, questions on the tactics. What was your sleeping strategy this night?
I tried to sleep at like 6 p.m. last night, and I think I slept for like 4 hours, and yeah, I just couldn't fall asleep after that because that's way too early. But yeah, I took a shower like at 2:30 or 2:15 or something, so it kind of freshens up a bit. But yeah, and I think I had a bit of food before, like around 1:30 or something like that. But yeah.
Well done. Goodness. Well, deserved win. Shown exactly why you are the second seed in this competition. So we were really banking on you trying to get that final solution for the 1,000 points. But where were you missing? You got one of the answers right. What were you trying to solve at the end?
Yeah, I actually don't know what I'm missing. So I'm sure there is something because yeah, it's just time pressure, and I didn't like there was a really long example on all of the tabs, and it showed it proved that the example answer should be 519, and I didn't have 519, so I know that something went wrong. But maybe we should have accepted your offer at the beginning to have a 5 more minutes reading time. But anyway, I think the one I'm guessing the one that I managed to fluke just happened to be a special case that didn't require the mistake that I made, so it got through. But yeah.
Yeah, Michael, what was it was quite interesting to see how you both were presenting. So Andrew was building his model vertically, you were building your model horizontally. So both approaches are quite valid. What went wrong?
Don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say what the issue with the model is at the moment, because if I knew that, I would have fixed it. But yeah, I'm sure I'll have another look at it. I think... Yeah, I don't really know what's wrong with it. It must be wrong somewhere. I mean, I had the same thing as Andrew, that there was only one example and I didn't get the right answer for the example. But I decided to sort of not really care and see how I did. And apparently that was not the correct strategy. But, oh well.
Yeah, you did quite well in levels up until level 3, where you had only one type of units. So that was good.
Yeah.
All right. So Andrew, some of the questions in the chat are like, what's next? When can people watch again? What's the next thing to look out for here? Obviously next year, I'm sure, but when?
Yeah. Well, the dates are we still need to arrange the dates. We probably want to have a similar tournament towards the end of next year. Definitely, if you want to take part in regular monthly stages of the Financial Modeling World Cup, you can sign up. And the first stage is going to be taking place in end of January 2022. So the seasonal passes are available on our website as well. And as for the televised tournaments, we just need to plan ahead, think of a nice, interesting format. We're probably going to get something with maybe less exhausting to produce. Like you can imagine, like 128 players, putting them all together throughout a week. You can't really see the faces of the team here sitting in the control room. I mean, they were, having a lot of sleepless nights, and everybody's plan for tomorrow is, just sleep 24/7, right? for a day. As for the tournaments that could be taking place during the year, we definitely want to schedule something for early next year, maybe February. The televised format, the fun competition, the Excel as Esports competition. And of course, there are arrangements to watch us again on ESPN. I think it's going to be ESPN2 under the Ocho Day, August 8th. So that's a competition, like a summary of different unique competitions that take place around the world, not just soccer, basketball, baseball, but really anything you can imagine.
Yeah,
including Excel as Esports.
Right. Slippery stair climbing was one that I saw on August 8th, the Ocho at ESPN. And kudos, this is exciting. There's a lot of weird sports on ESPN, but finally having Excel take its rightful place amongst all those others. For those of us that use Excel 40 hours a week, it is just as impressive to watch people working in Excel as it is to climb slippery stairs or whatever crazy.
Totally agree to you, Bill. Except for one word, weird. It's not weird. It's a great competition. I mean,
yeah. This is very geeky cool. Let's say that. How about
still?
Well, if you'd ever asked me whether we could get 2,000 people watching a live stream of Excel, to have Excel streaming on ESPN of all places. Never would have believed it before you set this up, Andrew. So congratulations for, I guess, having the vision to actually put this together in the first place. And yeah, we look forward to seeing what comes up next year. And as Joe said, imagination is that's what bounds us, right? So let's look forward to seeing what happens.
Exactly, and there are a lot of crazy ideas in my head to introduce the next year as well. So. Thank you for hosting this, guys, and for the viewers, if you're really interested to see the next ones, just go ahead, subscribe for the YouTube channel. It's going to be a great one, just to get the announcements for the next battles as they come up. And sign up for our competitions. These are great and open to everyone, and you can learn a lot.
That's right. One last reminder for everyone who's still watching. You've got probably about 5 minutes left to download the cases that you saw tonight before they start getting charged. And to be fair, like the cases are like $10 each. It's not a huge cost. And Andrew, you'll put together a FMWC Open bundle of cases to be able to get everything at a discounted price, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, and we're also going to include the original, more complicated versions of these cases. So the finals case was initially more complicated, so we have cut away some parts of that. So you're going to get the original one as well, and the biathlon case too. That was on your session, Bill, where Michael scored 1,000 points. Yeah, and I think the price will be like half, like 50% off or something.
Great. Yeah. Well, worth it. Great practice. Great way to improve your Excel skills, whether you time yourself or not. Just trying to work through this.
Yeah. So.
All right. I can see people referencing actual games in the chat. If anyone can turn Fun City into a League of Legends map mod of some sort, please do so. Let us know, and I'd love to see it.
Okay, guys.
All right.
Thank you for these great ideas. So something interesting for the next one.
Very good.
We'll keep it in mind.
All right.